Good afternoon. I'm here in Sherman, Texas today with Claudia Denham, and she is the owner of bioenergetic jewelry. And I'm so excited to tell you and have her tell you all about this jewelry. We're in her home, which is where her studio is, and you can see she's got a fine display here of jewelry, and I really want you to learn about what makes this jewelry special. So Claudia, tell me how you started this business and how long you've been in business.
Well, I started back in the early 2000s, and it was kind of a fluke, but things happen for reasons. And so I was married to a naturopathic doctor.
Oh, wow.
And we had our own company selling health food supplements all over the country. And I would be at my desk 8-9 hours a day. I loved my job. In fact, I hated to see 5 o'clock roll around sometimes because I'd be on a roll. Mm-hmm. And then we outgrew our spot and we bought this building. And the day that we moved into the building, and I was trying to get my office all set up, 2:30 rolled around, and I told my office manager I was going home because I was getting the flu or something. Mm-hmm. And I drove 3 minutes home, and I was fine.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went out to get in the car the next day, and this is going to sound weird, but I reached for the car door handle, and it was like somebody grabbed my arm and just threw it back against my shoulder. And I thought, okay, this is strange. But I finally forced myself to get in the car and go to work. And by 2:30 again, I was sick. Got home, I was fine. So every day it just got harder and harder and harder for me to force myself to get in the car and go to work. And by 2:30, I had to get out of that building. And I had no clue what was going on.
Right.
I didn't know anything at all about electromagnetic pollution and how much it stressed our bodies. Mm-hmm. But I would get into my office and I couldn't focus, I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't stay in my seat for 5 minutes at a time. And it was so different from the other location.
Right.
And this went on for a couple of years, and I was only working from 11:30 to 2:30, just long enough to let my staff go to lunch and with backup. And then if I'd have had to walk through fire, I'd have gotten out of that building.
Wow.
And I thought I was losing my mind because my office manager and I had been friends for a long time before she came to work for me. She would run the other direction when I walked in the building because I had turned into this total raving lunatic witch. And I'm not proud to say that I made her cry a couple of times a week because I'm not like that. But like I said, I thought I was losing my mind. And then we went to a seminar, and the doctor that put the seminar on showed us the problem with all of the electromagnetic pollution and how much it stressed and damaged our bodies. And so he had these pendants. They were ugly and they were donuts, and they were very expensive. But I bought one and I put it on because I didn't have my products at that time. And so I put it on, and within 24 hours, my husband walked into my office and he said, "What are you still doing here?" And I said, "Just catching up from the trip." "Why?" He said, "Do you know what time it is?" And I looked down at the clock on the computer and it was 5:30.
Wow.
And I had been sitting at my desk the whole afternoon, hadn't gotten up once. And that was just the first time since we had been in that building that had ever happened. And I could only come up with 3 different things that were different from our old space. We went to wireless internet at that time.
Okay.
I wasn't used to that. The ceiling in my office was very low, and they put this huge fluorescent light right over my head, and I wasn't used to that. And the hard drive that used to be way over on the corner of this huge desk that I had was sitting right down by my left leg.
Okay.
And within 3 weeks of moving into that building, I had so much pain in my left leg, I literally thought I had bone cancer. It hurt so deep in the bone. So within 3 weeks of putting my first pendant on, all of that leg pain was just gone. But a year or so after that, I was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of uterine cancer. And because of the cancer, we started acquiring different healing frequency generators.
Okay.
And to back up just a little bit, I had been doing stained glass. And the stained glass turned out to be very hazardous for my health. I got lead poisoning from it, and I pinched a nerve in my neck because all of the work was like this. And so it was very hard for me to sleep at night. So I decided this is just not good for me. So I was going to stop doing it, but I had all of this glass, and I thought, I've got to figure out how to use up this glass. So I went and took a fusing class. And when I came home with my first piece of dichroic glass jewelry, my husband knew what it was. And he said, do you know what you have there? And I said, jewelry. He said, that's like a computer chip. Because he was familiar, with what it did.
Right.
And he said, we can use these generators, these healing frequency generators that we had accumulated because of the cancer, to program healing frequencies into this jewelry. So, as much as I hate to say it, the cancer was kind of a blessing for me.
Well, that's where people say everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I was not supposed to still be on the planet because they gave me 5 years if I did the chemo and radiation, and a year if I didn't do it. And I didn't do it. But I had gotten so into making the jewelry. And every time you open up the kiln, it's like Christmas, because you don't know for sure exactly what you're going to get. And so every day I would say to myself, can't die today. There's too many pendants waiting to be born. And somebody said to me one time, did you hear what you just said? And I said, pendants waiting to be born. And she said, what kind of cancer did you have? Uterine.
Right?
Yeah. So I just was so fascinated by the jewelry, and it was so much fun, and it gave me so many reasons to get up every morning and to keep going to do what I did. So that's really how the jewelry came to be.
Right.
And I was just doing it primarily for therapeutic reasons. But as a naturopath, and with our company, we would go and we would do shows. And so I started taking a small tray of pendants to the shows. And pretty soon it was more and more and more and more trays and fewer and fewer and fewer products.
Right.
So the jewelry pretty much took over the whole business. So that's a little bit on the background of the jewelry.
That's amazing. And I have seen vendors, different health fair type places or online, that advertise jewelry that does protect you, has some kind of, but it's all different. Like, I've seen a vendor that it looked like there was a coating like painted on the back, like a silver looking coating painted on the back of the jewelry. So I don't know. That I know they must all use a different process, basically.
Right. And because one of my generators allows me to import the frequencies from anything, the products that we had with our company were very high quality specialty health food supplements. And so I could import the frequencies from like superfoods and green drinks and things like that, and export all of those frequencies into the glass. And so there's no product, nothing on the market that does what my jewelry does.
Okay.
But what I tell people at the shows that we do, before you buy anything online, find out how it gets programmed. So I have 4 different very high-powered healing frequency generators that I use to program. And what gives the glass the bling, the sparkle, they spray it at the factory with quartz crystals and mineral oxides. Quartz crystal is what they make computer chips out of because it holds, sends, and receives the information. And minerals do that in our bodies. They hold our frequencies, and they hold the frequencies that I put in the glass.
Wow.
So now I would like to show you what my jewelry actually does.
Okay. I would love that. I have a question.
Okay.
So does the jewelry, what do you call it? The programming, does it last?
It lasts.
Okay.
Unlike your semi-precious stones, those get contaminated very easily.
Yes.
And that's why they have to be cleaned and cleared and reprogrammed, recharged. And also, except for quartz, all of the semi-precious stones have the frequencies or the energy that God put in them. And they're very limited in what they can do. So, you might see a rose quartz and it'll say it does ABC. But all of the semi-precious stone frequencies are in these because one of my generators has them all, but they do not get contaminated.
So if you're taking the frequencies you said from like superfoods, right? Does that food lose its ability to help you heal?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, you're just copying the frequency.
So one of my generators has 255 pre-programmed healing protocols in it. Each one of those protocols has multiple healing frequencies. I have another generator called a photon sound beam, and it has 2 glass probes that you hold or you put somewhere on bare skin, and it puts the frequencies all the way through your entire body. And it works on noble gases and oxygen and light and sound. And then I have another generator called a quantum life system, and it can scan the entire body down to the cellular level in 8 minutes. And it allows you to do biofeedback on any imbalances that you have. And that is almost unlimited in the number of frequencies that go into it. So,
amazing. It's
they,
mind-blowing.
yeah, they're very powerful. And I have third-party doctor, what's the word I'm looking for? Documentation about what they do.
Well, that's super interesting. Okay, so now let's move towards the jewelry.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some kinesiology muscle testing, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what we're going to do is some kinesiology muscle testing.
Okay.
And we're going to use this arm.
Okay.
So arm out. And what I want you to do is not let me push your arm down.
Okay.
So be as strong as you can.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Good. Okay, now hold the phone.
Okay.
Same thing, lock your arm.
Oh my goodness.
See how weak the phone makes you the second you touch it?
That all my accessory muscles going up my neck were trying to hold my arm out and I couldn't do it.
Well, I actually have it documented that the second you touch the phone, it stresses all 7 systems of your body.
Wow.
Okay, so now we're going to take a piece of jewelry, and you still have the phone, and hold that, and lock your arm.
Okay, I can do it. It didn't stress my neck that time.
Okay, now what we're going to do is a balance test.
Okay.
So, okay, so your right foot needs to come totally off the floor. And lock your arm.
Okay, let me try again.
Okay. Got it?
Yes.
Lock your arm. So you can't balance and lock your arm at the same time. Okay, try it again.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can do it.
Okay, now the last one is the emotional one.
Okay.
So this time I want you to think about something you love to do, somebody you love, or just love.
Okay.
Got love?
Yeah.
Good. See how strong that makes you? Now think about something that stresses you out.
Oh my goodness, that's kind of hard. Let me think. Okay, I can think of a situation that stressed me out.
Okay.
Okay.
Lock.
Oh.
See how weak stress makes us? Okay, same stress.
Okay.
And lock.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
It is amazing. And like I said, what gives the glass the bling is the quartz crystal, and that makes it a computer chip. So they have been programmed, see if we can, and third-party doctor proven
Okay.
to block almost 90% of the electromagnetic pollution from all of our devices. But they also reduce stress, they balance polarity, they help clear negative cellular memory, which is the same as post-traumatic stress. They improve memory, balance, focus, concentration, intuition. They raise our energy levels. So my computer customers tell me one of the first things that they notice goes away is the I can't keep my eyes open anymore feeling.
Oh, wow. I
Until,
need that for sure, especially in the afternoons.
until one day out of the blue, they can't keep their eyes open again, and that's when they realize they forgot their jewelry that day.
Right.
And I've heard that from all kinds of different people, including medical personnel. So these also protect us not only from our own negative thoughts and emotions, but those of other people in our environment. I've had a couple of nasty boss stories that stopped immediately when the employee put their pendants on. And these balance and harmonize our brains as well. So we did a show in Colorado, and in the booth right next to us was a chiropractic couple that do neurologically based chiropractic. And they had a computer that does brain scans. So Dr. Lynn didn't tell me she was going to do this, but before she put her pendant on for the first time, she did a brain scan on herself. Then she immediately put her pendant on and did a second brain scan. So in 6 minutes, she went from total scrambled mess
Wow.
to almost perfect balance and harmony.
Wow.
It also increased her overall brain function by 22% in that same 6 minutes. And then these also work on certain kinds of pain. Not every pain every time, but a lot of our pain comes from electromagnetic pollution, and we don't realize that because it's subtle energy and we can't see it hurt us. But it does a lot of damage. So when people put their pendants on, a lot of times back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, elbow pain, just goes away.
Right. Wow.
So that's just a tiny
I know.
tiny little bit
All
of
for
what my jewelry does.
this beautiful jewelry that you make. It's beautiful.
Thank you. So we have earrings, we have pendants, several different kinds of bracelets, rings. I have energy plates. I have discs that go inside your phone case.
They're pretty though.
Thank you.
Even though they go inside your phone case, they're very pretty.
Well, and the very first piece that I had, that ugly donut, I paid $149 for.
Wow.
And I was wearing it one day, and I looked down and the cord was still there, but the donut was gone. And I called the doctor and I said, this thing just fell apart. He said, well, buy another one. I wasn't very happy with that response. And so number one, this to me is my ministry. This is how I serve people. So I have not raised my prices since I started doing this 20 years ago.
That's incredible.
And I make them affordable for whole families because whole families need them. And it is glass. Glass can break, but I guarantee my pieces for breakage for my lifetime. So even if you accidentally drop it, if it breaks, I will either fix it or replace it for you free.
Wow. That's also incredible. You don't find that very often.
No.
Especially with glass that you know will break.
Yes.
You know, I mean, eventually you're going to knock it on something or drop it.
Yeah, unfortunately, and all of my pieces are one of a kind. So I can't give people back exactly what they had, but price-wise, my pendants and my bracelets are all the same price. They're all $50. That does include a cord. The rings are $40, earrings are $35, and if you buy multiple pieces, you get discounts.
Oh, wow.
So, like I said, I try to price myself so that whole families can afford it.
So how young do children start wearing them?
Well, I've had people that have bought things for 2-year-olds. You can put them on any age. They don't do any damage. And with what they do for the brain, I've had some really, really good luck with ADD, ADHD, autistic kids. I get a lot of really good feedback from the parents of autistic kids about what happens, and it happens very quickly. I got a hug from a little 6-year-old little autistic boy at a show, and his mother was just floored. She said, I can't believe he hugged you. He doesn't hug. 3 times he came up and hugged me.
Wow.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, that is. Well, that's cool. Well, you know how the babies wear the necklaces. So I suppose you could have a stone built into the...
Well, when our granddaughter was teething and we would hold her, she would always grab our pendants and rub her gums.
Oh, yes.
Don't know how sanitary that was, but she never did have a tremendous amount of teething pain. And I had a young man that worked for me one time who had an 8-month-old daughter that was teething. And he said he noticed that when she was fussy with her teeth, if he picked her up and he didn't have his pendant on, she wouldn't quiet down.
Right.
But if he went and got it and put it on, or had it on to begin with, she would quiet right down. Oh, and I've just had my 4th identical story about the Denver airport. Only Denver.
Okay.
But my customers go through the scanner wearing their pendant, and they get pulled aside and wanded and ask what kind of metal they have in their bodies, because the pendant is blocking the radiation from the scanner. And the last lady, I'm so thankful she was a good friend of mine, because her block went all the way down her left leg, and they just were absolutely convinced she had metal in her body. And they put her through the ringer.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, nobody's taken a picture of the scanner for me,
right?
so I don't have that. But one of these days, I'm hoping to get a picture.
Yeah.
Of that.
Well, you can't tell them ahead of time because they don't know what's going to happen, and they tell you the story in retrospect.
Yes.
So, wow. Yeah, maybe somebody will be curious and say, can I snap a picture of that?
I was going to get a hold of the security at the Denver airport and ask them if I could do that. And my neighbor said they'll probably think you're a domestic terrorist.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm very excited to introduce you to the community, the people that aren't aware of you, and how do they get in touch with you?
Well, my phone number is 620-481-0209, and that is my cell phone number. So people can call me on that, or better to text me. And I do take appointments here at the house, but I don't have a walk-in store.
Okay, so you don't have a storefront, but you have a studio that you take appointments.
Right, and we do shows all over the metro area and here in Sherman. So that's the best way for people to come and see everything that I have.
And if I were to come to a show, you would muscle test me?
I would.
To show me how it works?
I would.
Okay.
We muscle test everybody that comes to our booth that wants it done. I do have a website.
Okay.
However, this jewelry is very, very, very difficult to take pictures of.
Okay.
And I charge more online than I would if you got a hold of me,
right,
and we could meet somewhere, or you could come to my studio and pick something out.
Okay.
Or the shows.
Yeah. So the best way to get a hold of you is just to call you and say, you know.
Or text me.
Or text you
and say, where are you going to be, or can we get together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to share?
Oh, I could keep you here all day telling you stories, but I know you have other things to do. So I think that we pretty well covered it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do the video. I really appreciate that.
I'm excited. Thank you.